Where do we come from? This is not merely a question of flesh and blood, of ancestors and cells, of molecules spinning through the endless sky. This is a question that trembles through the mind like a silent thunder. Where did this thirst arise, this longing, this becoming? What is it that cries within us, "I am," and what lies hidden behind that cry? Listen. The world is on fire with becoming. From one moment to the next, all things arise and cease, shimmer and fade, like the mirage of a city seen through heat. You have wandered long, my friend, through births uncountable, through forms innumerable, seeking what cannot be found in the outer world. You have called yourself by many names, but always the hunger has returned, always the fear, always the sorrow. And now, as you sit here, eyes open, heart trembling, you ask again, where do we come from? And to that I answer, not with myth, not with legend, but with the wisdom of the awakened mind, born from deep silence and fearless observation. There is no beginning revealed, no first cause proclaimed. The Tathagata does not declare, here is the first point. Why? Because ignorance is without discoverable beginning. No matter how far back you trace, no matter how many lifetimes you recall, the veil of unknowing stretches behind like a night without stars. This is why I have said, because this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not known of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. You are not here because of one cause, but many. You are not born from nothing but from the intertwining of causes and conditions, a vast tapestry of interdependence. This is the law of dependent origination, paṭicca-samuppāda, not fashioned by gods, not dictated by demons, but seen with purified vision by one who has pierced the fog of delusion. When this is, that is. With the arising of this, that arises. When this is not, that is not. With the cessation of this, that ceases. From ignorance as conditioned, volitional formations arise. From volitional formations, consciousness. From consciousness, name and form. From name and form, the 6 sense spaces. From the 6 sense spaces, contact. From contact, feeling. From feeling, craving. From craving, clinging. From clinging, becoming. From becoming, birth. From birth, aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair arise. Thus does this whole mass of suffering come to be. But do not be discouraged. This chain is not a prison forged by fate, it is a mirror, and in that mirror you may see the reflection of your own mind. If the mind is to be freed, it must understand this process, not as mere words, but as a living truth unfolding moment by moment. Ignorance, avijja, is not a lack of information, it is a not seeing, a turning away from reality, a darkness in the heart. It is the refusal to understand the 4 noble truths, that life contains suffering, that suffering arises from craving, that suffering can cease, and that there is a path leading to that cessation. Ignorance is not outside you. It is not in the stars or the soil. It is here now when you believe what is impermanent to be lasting, what is not self to be self, what is suffering to be joy. And from ignorance flows sankhara, volitional formations, the seeds of karma, the tendencies, the inclinations, the reactions, the habits of mind that shape the future. Not all formations are harmful, but even wholesome ones, unless guided by wisdom, keep the wheel turning. From these formations arises vijnana, consciousness, not a soul, not a fixed self, but the knowing faculty conditioned by its roots. It is like a flame passing from one candle to another, continuity without identity. It is this consciousness flowing like a current that takes hold of name and form, nama rupa, mentality and materiality. thought and flesh, feeling and bone, memory and skin. Thus the world of experience arises. The 6 sense bases, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, emerge from name and form. These are not gateways to freedom unless rightly seen. They are the doors through which the world invades your peace. When sense spaces are present, phassa, contact, occurs. When eye and form meet, there is eye consciousness. The meeting of the 3 is contact. Contact is the spark. It sets fire to feeling. And from contact arises Vedana, feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. These feelings, though fleeting, are powerful. Like a breeze that stirs the surface of a deep lake, they trouble the mind and awaken the old thirst. From feeling comes tanha, craving. This is the turning point. When feeling arises, the untrained mind grasps. It wants the pleasant to stay. It wants the unpleasant to end. It wants the neutral to become pleasant. This is craving for sensual pleasures, for existence, for non-existence. This is the thirst that drives you on, like a desert wanderer chasing a mirage. Craving leads to upadana, clinging. The mind fastens upon objects, ideas, identities, views, rituals, I, me, mine. These are not anchors, they are chains. And from clinging there is bhava, becoming. The momentum toward birth. You create a world with each act of mind. You form intentions, habits, and futures. You build the conditions for the next arise. And from becoming, jati, birth occurs. Not only physical birth, but the arising of self in every moment, the birth of pride, of anger, of fear, of joy. With each birth there comes aging, and with aging, death. And with death, the flood of dukkha, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair. This is the cycle of samsara. Not a circle, but a spiral, often downward, sometimes upward, but always shaped by the mind's ignorance and grasping. You may think, then who am I? If not a soul, if not an eternal essence, then what? I answer you with silence. For this is a question that arises from a wrong view. You are not a fixed being, but a process. Not a traveler moving through time, but time itself in movement. You are not a wave moving across the sea. You are the sea taking the shape of a wave. Even so, there is no self behind the wave. No hidden puppeteer. There is only condition upon condition, flame lighting flame, pattern unfolding from pattern. This is not a denial. It is a liberation. For if there is no fixed self, then there is no one to be punished, no one to be bound. There is only cause and effect. And that means the cycle can end. That means freedom is possible. The one who sees dependent origination sees the Dhamma. The one who sees the Dhamma sees me. And what do I teach? Suffering and the end of suffering. Nothing more. Nothing. In one discourse, the Venerable Ananda, my beloved attendant, approached me and said, "Venerable Sir, this dependent origination is deep and appears deep. Yet to me it seems as clear can be." To which I replied, "Not so, Ananda. Do not say so. This dependent origination is deep and appears deep. It is because of not understanding and not penetrating this Dhamma that this generation has become like a tangled skein, like a knotted ball of thread, like matted rushes and reeds, unable to pass beyond samsara, beyond the cycle of birth and death. And so it is. Like a vine growing without end, twisting and clinging, reaching and recoiling, so is the mind that does not understand its own arising. It runs here and there, seeking permanence in impermanence, self in the selfless, joy in what inevitably decays. But when the mind sees, this arises from that. When this ceases, that ceases. Then there is dispassion, then there is stillness, then there is relief. This path is not blind. It is walked with open eyes, firm steps, and a gentle heart. It begins with seeing clearly, continues with acting wisely, and ends with no more becoming. Do not fear the silence that comes when craving falls away. It is not void, it is vast. Not empty, it is peace. You have asked, where do we come from? Now I ask you, where are you going? Do not look for answers in the dust of bones or the echo of names long lost to time. Do not search the sky hoping for a hand to reach down and lift you from your sorrow, for the hand that saves you is already your own, and the path that leads you home begins beneath your very feet. You were not born to merely suffer. You were not flung into the world by chance or chaos. You arose because of causes. You arise now because of conditions. And just as the wheel turns by momentum, it can also come to rest by understanding. In every moment you are becoming, not once, not twice, but over and over, a stream of mind and matter woven with threads of intention. That is the great secret, hidden in plain sight. We are not things. We are processes, flowing, shifting, arising, ceasing. And yet, within that movement, there is something we can train. There is a direction we can choose. The noble disciple begins here, with right view, not belief, not speculation, but insight, grounded in direct experience, in what can be seen, known, realized. He sees suffering. He sees its origin. He sees its cessation. He sees the path. He sees that if ignorance be removed, then volitional formations cease. If formations cease, then consciousness no longer binds. Without that spark, name and form does not ignite. The six sense bases fall away. Contact does not stir. Feeling does not compel. Craving does not arise. There is nothing to cling to, no becoming, no birth, no death, no more suffering. And he walks the eightfold path, not as ritual, not as dry code, but as living flame, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This path is not easy, but it is clear. To understand where we come from, you must understand how the mind creates the world. When the eye sees a form, the untamed mind does not merely register light and color, it assigns meaning. It says, "This is beautiful," or "This is mine," or "I am afraid." It reacts, it attaches, it weaves a self into what is merely passing sensation. And thus, suffering begins. But the wise one sees form as form, feeling as feeling, perception as perception, fabrication as fabrication, consciousness as consciousness. He sees, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself, and so the thread of becoming weakens. Imagine a monk seated in stillness beneath a tree. He watches the breath, he watches the body, he watches the mind, not as one watching something apart, but as one recognizing the very nature of watching itself. Thoughts arise, feelings pass, cravings stir, but he does not grasp. He does not push away, he merely sees. And in that seeing, ignorance begins to unravel. The Dhammapada declares, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This is the path to purification. The one who walks this path no longer asks, who am I, but instead asks, what is arising? What is passing away? He does not seek a final theory of origin, but rather tastes the freedom that comes from not clinging to origin at all. You ask, where do we come from? But I ask you, what arises in this moment? Is it anger? Then understand the cause of anger. Is it desire? Then look to the root of desire. Each mental state, like a wave, builds and crashes. But the ocean remains. deep, untroubled, pure. The Buddha does not offer you a myth to soothe your fear of beginnings. He offers a path that makes beginnings irrelevant. Consider this. The deer in the forest does not trace the first footprint. It follows the trail to its source. So too, the noble disciple follows the trail of suffering back through clinging, craving, feeling, contact, sense base, name and form, consciousness, volitional formations, to ignorance. And seeing ignorance for what it is, darkness that fears the light, he lets it go, not with force, but with understanding. This is why I have said, he who sees dependent origination sees the Dhamma. He who sees the Dhamma sees me. I am not found in statues. I am not bound by scriptures. I live in the awakened heart, in the mind that sees clearly, in the being who, through effort and wisdom, untangles the knot of becoming. In the Nidana Saṃyutta, I spoke again and again of this chain, not to explain where the world came from, but to show how suffering arises and how it can be ended. I did not say there is a beginning, for such speculation leads only to further entanglement. I said this is, and when this is, that becomes, and when this ceases, that too ceases. Not dogma, not creed, but a map, a mirror. And with this mirror, the noble disciple sees himself not as a self, but as process. And with this map, he walks beyond all maps. Do not grasp at beginnings. Do not cling to ends. Walk the middle way, the path that avoids eternalism and nihilism alike. The path that sees all compounded things as dependently arisen, and therefore neither absolute nor nothing. From Bhikkhu Bodhi's anthology you may read the words of the wise, but here I give you the voice that was behind those words. The living Dhamma, the lion's roar, the teaching that shatters illusion. This voice does not say, worship me. It says, look, and what do you see? You see that the origin of life is not a point in time, but a structure of mind. You see that the beginning of your suffering lies not in stars or birthplaces, but in the way you react to experience. And so, the solution is not elsewhere. It is here, where feeling arises. Here, where craving may cease. Here, where the fire of becoming may cool. This understanding does not make you passive, it makes you powerful. For the one who knows dependent origination sees clearly how each moment unfolds, and thus he chooses wisely. He is not dragged by habit, he is not pushed by fear, he does not kill, he does not steal, he does not lie. He walks with kindness, with mindfulness, with peace. And he teaches not by command, but by example. In this way, the origin of life is revealed as the origin of suffering, and the path forward is illuminated by the cessation of that very suffering. Where do we come from? We come from ignorance. And where are we going? To the end of ignorance, to the stillness that lies beyond becoming, to Nibbana, not a place, not a heaven, but the unbinding from all that bind. But until then, walk gently, speak truthfully, meditate with diligence, live with gratitude, for even as this body decays, the mind may rise. Even as the world changes, the Dhamma remains. And with every moment rightly seen, you step out of the cycle. With every clinging released, you remember the freedom that has always been your birthright. Consider again the question, where do we come from? You have looked outward for so long, but the outer world, with all its marvels and terrors, cannot reveal the depth of this mystery. It is like searching the river for the source of its own water, never turning upstream. Turn within. Not to a hidden self, not to a soul buried deep, but to the movement of the mind. For it is in the motion of perception, in the reflex of desire, in the trembling of thought, that you will find the origin of all becoming. The world arises with contact. The world is fabricated with craving. The world is suffered through ignorance. The origin of life is the origin of perception, and perception is not pure, it is conditioned. It is shaped by the six senses and the weight of past actions. As long as the eye sees and craves, as long as the ear hears and judges, as long as the mind reacts and clings, the world appears as real, solid, permanent, self-contained. But when perception is purified, the world is seen as it truly is, impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. When a man trains in discipline, in samadhi, and in wisdom, he does not merely act righteously. He disarms the very causes of rebirth. He breaks the chain link by link. He puts down the torch of becoming and walks into coolness. He does not kill because he understands the preciousness of life and the suffering that follows violence. He does not steal because he sees that taking what is not given feeds the fire of greed. He does not engage in sexual misconduct because he knows the pain of clinging and the danger of desire. He does not lie because he sees that falsehood twists the mind and binds it to delusion. He does not intoxicate the mind because he treasures clarity, the gateway to liberation. This is not morality for morality's sake. It is the foundation for insight. For a muddy lake cannot reflect the moon, and the mind, clouded by harm and heedlessness, cannot see the truth. So train yourself, not to please me, not to impress others, but to become free. Sit. Observe the breath, not to control it, but to know it. The breath arises and passes. So too with thought. So too with feeling. So too with identity. In meditation, the noble disciple begins to see, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. And he begins to undo the story of me and mine. He sees that all things arise by dependence, that there is no flame without fuel, no shadow without form, no suffering without cause. And so, step by step, he stops adding fuel. This is why I taught the cessation of suffering, not through belief but through seeing. When feeling is fully known, craving no longer takes hold. When craving does not arise, clinging has no support. When clinging falls away, becoming cannot build. When becoming ceases, birth ends. And when birth ends, death. This is not a metaphor, this is liberation. In the ancient texts, in the Nikayas, I spoke of worlds upon worlds, of aeons upon aeons, of great expansions and contractions of time, of beings born of light, of planes of fine matter, of realms where only perception remains. But I taught these not as ultimate truths to cling to, but as skillful means to shake the conceit that this little body, this little birth, is all there is. You have been many things, traveler, kings and beggars, gods and ghosts, fathers and daughters, hungry spirits and radiant devas. You have walked through fire and floated through the clouds, and always the craving remained. In Akira Hirakawa's teachings on cosmology, there is a vastness that can overwhelm the mind, a grand, intricate vision of samsaric universes where life begins again and again. But I say to you, it is not important to count the grains of sand. It is enough to know that they are not yours to hold. What matters is this: whether you will continue to be reborn again and again, driven by craving and not knowing, or whether you will awaken and be free. The Dhamma is not a ladder climbing toward heaven. It is a torch revealing the delusion of all ladders. There is no summit. There is only the cessation of climbing. So let go. Let go of the view that you are a fixed being. Let go of the hope that some God will rescue you. Let go of the despair that says you are nothing. You are not eternal. You are not annihilated. You are conditioned, and that which is conditioned may be known, and that which is known may be released. This is the wisdom of dependent origination. It leaves no room for speculation and every room for practice. It does not ask you to believe. It invites you to look. You ask, where do we come from? But that question, if clung to, becomes another fetter. Better to ask, what is arising now? Is it joy? Then see the joy as conditioned. Do not cling to it. Is it sorrow? Then see the sorrow as conditioned. Do not run from it. Let each experience pass through you like wind through an open window. Let it leave no trace. This is what it means to be awake. This is what it means to be free. There was once a man pierced by a poisoned arrow. He refused to have it removed until he knew who shot it, and why, and from what caste, and with what kind of wood. He died without ever removing the arrow. Do not be like that man. The poison is craving. The wound is ignorance. Remove it now, while you still can. Train the mind to see what is arising. Train the heart to let go. Train the body to serve the Dhamma, not the senses. For the Dhamma is not outside you, it is your very nature, when unclouded by delusion. In every thought you let go, you walk back toward the origin. In every craving you abandon, you move closer to the unborn. In every breath you take with mindfulness, you remember your true home. Not a place, not a realm, but a state of freedom, unshaken by birth and death. You have wandered long enough. Come back to this moment, to this body, to this breath, to this seeing, and know that you were never truly lost. You are simply dreaming. All things that arise, arise due to causes. All things that cease, cease when their causes are no longer present. This is the rhythm of reality, the heartbeat of the Dhamma. It neither judges nor favors. It simply, you asked, where do we come from? Now you know, you come from the craving that follows feeling, the clinging that follows craving, the becoming that follows clinging. You come from the great wheel of dependent origination, revolving since beginningless time, not through the will of a creator, but through the momentum of your own unexamined mind. And now, as one who has begun to see, you must ask the deeper question, how can I stop coming back? For if birth leads to death, then death too leads to birth. Unless the fuel runs out, the flame relights. Unless the craving is quenched, the fire returns. Unless the cause is removed, the effect remains. But rejoice, for it is within your power to end the cycle. The Dhamma is not philosophy, it is medicine, not a story but a cure. And I am not a god, but a physician. I point to suffering, I reveal its cause, I demonstrate its cessation, and I prescribe a path, the noble eightfold path. Right view dispels ignorance, right intention uproots ill will and desire. Right speech quiets the mind. Right action restrains unwholesome tendencies. Right livelihood honors compassion. Right effort weakens unskillful habits. Right mindfulness shines light into the shadows. Right concentration stills the storm. Each step is a letting go. Each discipline, a softening. Each insight, a return to what is simple and unadorned. You have no need to become anything, you have only to stop becoming. Do not be deceived by the spectacle of the world. All that arises will pass. The stars will fade. The sun will collapse. The galaxies will scatter. The mind too will dissolve, unless it has been trained to see beyond. I say to you, not in lofty heavens, nor deep in the atoms, nor buried in the bones of ancestors will you find the origin of life, but in this very moment of awareness. For each moment is a birth, each craving a seed, each release a death, and each silence a liberation. As Nyanatiloka Thera has written, dependent origination is not a metaphysical system, it is a phenomenological map. It explains not why the world exists, but how suffering arises. and more importantly, how it ceases. This is why I taught it. To free you, not to satisfy your curiosity. To unbind you from samsara, not to entertain your intellect. If you cling to origin, you will be caught in time. If you cling to end, you will be caught in despair. But if you let go of both, you will find the middle. The unborn, the uncreated, the unconditioned, nibbana, beyond breath, beyond becoming, beyond all grasping, and yet not elsewhere, not far, but here, now. When the mind no longer chases, no longer flees, no longer builds a self in the ashes of perception. This is the truth. What arises does so due to conditions. What ceases does so when its conditions are no more. This applies to worlds and to thoughts, to bodies and to selves, to galaxies and to fears. There is no creator apart from causality, no destroyer apart from impermanence, no soul apart from perception. You are not punished for craving. You are bound by it. You are not rewarded for insight. You are freed by it. In the end, there is nothing to attain, only something to understand. And once understood, the chain breaks. And when the chain breaks, the path ends. And when the path ends, peace remains. So walk it, do not delay. Birth follows death like shadow follows flame. But peace follows wisdom like fragrance follows bloom. Even now the door is open. Even now the wheel may stop. Even now you may remember what was never truly forgotten. Child of light, you who have wandered through endless lives, hear this now. You are not condemned to repeat. You are not doomed to suffer. You are not a prisoner of origin. You are the knowing. You are the stillness between breaths. You are the watcher who, once awakened, ends the dream. Drop the questions. Drop the fear. Drop the story of who you think you are. And see that this moment is your true birth. See that the path is not in the stars, but beneath your own feet. See that the fire burns only because you keep feeding it. Let go. Let go of what you want. Let go of what you seek, and step into the silence. Not the silence of death, but the silence of freedom. The silence of no more thirsting, no more becoming, no more sorrow. Step into the truth that was waiting for you before the first craving began, before the first question was asked, before even time began counting. Step into the Dhamma and be free. Well, through countless births I wandered, seeking the builder of this house. Painful is birth again and again. House builder, you are seen. You will not build this house again. All your rafters are broken. Your ridgepole is shattered. My mind has attained the unconditioned. Achieved is the end of craving. The Dhammapada, verses 50. This is the answer to your question. This is the origin of life. This is the end of all searching. This is the way.